Welcome to Advanced Bait Solutions 2. We're back, and I'm Andy Neal. This time we're going to be travelling to Albutt Fisheries in Somerset. Shard Reservoir, the mighty River Wye, the beautiful Hartleton Lakes. And lastly, we've come to the bagging mecca that is Carp Fisheries. We've some familiar faces as well as a few new ones to show you the best tackle, tactics and baiting techniques to make sure you get the best out of your fishing. Let's go meet a man regarded by most as the best commercial fishery angler out there, Grant Albutt. Well, I'm here at Campbell Lake at Viaduct Fishery, home of some tremendous catches. This man knows it better than most. He's come down and absolutely destroyed some big matches of late.
If you want to come to a place and catch some big weights, this is the place to do it. You need big strong gear, big arms and deep nets.
When you go about fishing here, you target a couple of different lines.
First approach will be shallow fishing. Business end, I use an 861 turbotuner with a lasso. I'm a big fan of lassos, only because when you keep casting and that, you don't come off. Use a band, sometimes it can keep coming off.
Right.
A carp slap float, the reason I use that is because I can move it up and down the line wherever I want to. There's no shot on the line, right. So if the fish come closer to the surface, I can move my float down.
So that's a self-cocking float, is it?
Self-cocking float, mate. Okay. Obviously with your bait on the end, depending if it's a pellet or meat, whatever you're using, yep. It'll cock it perfectly. I fish 020 mainline with an 018 hook length.
Right, okay.
Just in case there's a difference. If you get a big fish and you get broke off, you know, that's what we use these for.
Yeah.
Plenty of hook lengths, quick change, back into it again.
And you're going to fish that, what, sort of 13, 14 metres?
Yeah, I probably started about 14 today. You
right.
know, you know, when you're fishing a match and you've got bank-sized presents and everything, it's always best to keep them a bit further out. Yes, they might go a bit further, but if they go too far, you pick the waggler up and chuck the waggler over it instead.
I noticed you got a waggler set up.
I like floaty floats, I do. They seem to fly a little bit better.
Yeah.
And I also like weighted floats.
Is that why you've got the float stops either side of the...
Yeah, because again, you can move them. Don't damage your line.
Right,
whereas
right.
if you've got shot on your line, it can affect your line.
Sure.
So even if you want to use shot, and that's the preference that you want to use, just slide a little bit of silicone on and then squeeze your shot onto the silicone. Okay. So when you strike, you don't snap. Right. Whereas if you tighten the shot on too much, it could break. Same sort of thing, mate, 018 bottom or 020, depending on what you're catching. Again, a lasso and an 861 again. These are the new G-Max rods. It's an 11'6" pellet waggler rod. You pick them up and you think, oh, that's a bit stiff. And I'll tell you something, mate, when you're fishing with them and you hit into a fish, you know, the action is fantastic, mate. They're absolutely brilliant.
Did you fish any other lines?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we'll be prepared for later on in the match.
Right.
So obviously what we'll do, we'll keep feeding hemp and meat short, like 5 sections, 6 sections. Right, okay. So it's personal choice, really, depending. I like to keep them a little bit further out. So if you are bagging, you know, you can keep them there. Yep. Rather than if you catch them too close, you can spook them playing them all the time. My choice of float today is a Carp Force. Right. I also use Garbolino DC17s. They're cracking float as well. Mainline 020. Okay. Hook length 018.
Same again, right?
Same again. Different shot and pattern today. I've got a bulk and one dropper.
Dead depth, is
Dead
it?
depth on the bottom, yeah.
Right.
Short, and I'll be fishing meat. Depending on the size of the hook. I mean, this is a 175, number 4. Quite a long hook length on here today, but you can use shorter. And if I'd have had a shorter hook length on, personal choice again, I'd have had all my bulk together. Right. But as it's a bit longer hook length, I've got bulk and one dropper.
Right, okay. And strong elastics as well to match?
Not set too tough. It just comes out nice, obviously on a puller bung. I mean, that's not too tight.
No, I mean, I just want to touch on that quickly. People get misconceived ideas that they've got to use super strong elastic, and it's not the way forward, is it?
No, I mean, I've never been a big elastic person anyway, even when, you know, before these came about. Yeah. I like to hook a fish. It's like when you're fishing shallow, you don't want to fish too heavy. No. The reason is because when you hook one, you want it to go down in your peg and pull it out your peg, right, and then keep feeding over the top. Yeah. And keep them interested. If you've got something that's really tight and you can't even pull it out your pole, they're going to go, as soon as you hook them, they're going to go mad in your peg. Yeah. And all the fish that are there then, you're going to spook them away. Everyone knows me for fishing meat, and I'm confident at it, you know, and I know I can catch big weights on it. Yeah. Looks like a fairly simple bait list to me. Boosted today. Right. And probably pull only on the hook. Okay. Obviously on our short line later on, we're going to put hemp in. Hemp and meat together are deadly, aren't they? Cracking. I mean, I love it. I'm a massive fan of it. Hemp's a great base for carp to come over and just hoover up with your nice piece of meat sitting there. It initially just drags loads of fish into the swim, does it? It's the oils and the stuff off the hemp, especially, and the smell. And then you've got the soft texture of the meat, which they just seem to love. Boosted's got a lot of amino acids in it and betaine and things like that. It's really potent. I mean, it's cracking. Caught some big fish on that.
Well, I've got to be honest, even I've caught a few using that, so I know how effective it can be.
Okay, well, I'm going to use a 7mm cutter today. Well, the good thing about a 7mm is, depending on the size of hook you're using, you can put 2 pieces on. I can feed it short, and I can fire it long for my pellet waggler, right. And I can feed it long for my pole as well.
Right, okay.
So it's a perfect size.
One size covers everything.
I'll just quickly show you how simple and easy it is to cut this meat up in this meat cutter.
When it is out in the sun, it does go a little bit softer, doesn't it? You mentioned keeping it in the fridge. If you're going to cut it up the night before you go, yeah, keep it in the fridge, and then ideally keep it in a cool bag.
Yeah, and then when it's on your bank, make sure you keep a towel over it. Keeps all the freshness and goodness into it. So many people, when I go around the fisheries, you see people sitting on the tray, it's burned.
Yeah,
you know, it's not good. All the flavour's gone then. A few minutes to open the can, put it in there.
Ready to go?
Ready to go, mate.
You come down here and catch 200 pound in a match. Yeah. Ridiculous weights. And
yeah.
You'll do that on what, 3 or 4 tins
of meat? 3 or 4 tins, depends. You might need a bit more sometimes, depends on the venue, depends on the type of match you're fishing. But generally, if you're just going pleasure fishing, 2 to 3 tins, absolutely fantastic. You'll have a crack of days fishing. I mean, look at that. As soon as you open it, look at the juices that are in there. You can smell it. You can smell how strong it is. Yeah. Right, let's show you how to do this. Pretty simple.
Push the plunge down.
Push it down.
Just goes through the one way.
Just keep it on the side. Push it again. You know, all the juice that's in there. Get it all involved.
Yeah.
But look at the difference in the colour. This one, for a hook bait, I don't think you can go far wrong. You know, when you're fishing shallow, they're snatching at it anyway, so this one would be better for that. On the bottom, hook bait, hair rigging, whatever you're doing, polony every time. That.
It's got to be like a magnet to fish.
Absolutely, mate. If you can't catch fish on that, there's something wrong.
Right, so we're going to put some hemp in, feed a bit of this over the top.
I wouldn't put that in with the hemp. I'll keep the hemp separate, and then what I should do is add a few. If you put too much meat in, it takes them longer to find your bait.
Yeah.
More hemp, less meat.
More fish.
You see lots of other hemp on the market. It's not as big as this. I mean, look at the size of that. I keep using a lot of it, mate. I mean, I use a lot. The oils and everything else that comes off it is in the can.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's why it makes it so great. We're fishing for carp, and they're just greedy, you know what I mean? So they're going to come in, nice big bed of that on the bottom with your meat, get them confident, and then start slaying them.
Someone said to me once, if I was a fish, I was going to be the biggest in the lake. Didn't quite know how to take that.
No?
One common problem a lot of people have is not knowing how much feed to put in at the start of the session, whether it be a match or a pleasure session. Obviously, Grant's a master at this.
I'm not going to feed my short line with a pot. I'm going to just loose feed, and then later on in the match, then we'll start putting it in properly. I'm going to put that much hemp in, a good half a pot there, mate, of a big pot, and I want to put a few grains of meat in. Maybe just tip it off with a bit more. And we're going to put that long, and then I want to fish shallow over the top of it. So initially, we're going to get the fish there, we're going to feed over the top, and we're going to bring them up. When I'm fishing it long like this, I don't put it in like everybody else. People look at me as if I'm going a bit mad. I like to bounce the pole, I do. Make a nice big area. I don't know if you can see that.
Right.
Okay, so initially it's making a nice sound on the top, so them fish might want to come up straight away anyway. You see the oil slick on the water as well?
Yeah, that flat
That's all off the hemp, that is.
We're going to go straight over the top of that now with a shallow rig.
We are. We've got a little band on there. I'm going to put a piece of meat. I'm going to push that through there.
Yep.
Stay at the other end, pull it into the meat, pull that into the meat.
That's ready to go. So what's your starting depth, Grant?
If you go too deep, you start foul looking them. So I always like to start off a little bit shallower and work my way down. Get to know the venue, and you'll get to know how far and how deep they are, do you know what I mean?
You can see one pot full of bait, they're in and fizzing over it already. Look at that.
Already, mate, just little and often, just keep flicking your rig over like that as well. All the noise, the better.
So obviously the noise of the bait going in and what have you, it's just drawing more fish into the area, is that right?
Yeah, that's what it is, mate, Right. You just feed 4 or 5 bits of meat. There you go, straight away, look at that. That is literally straight away, mate.
That's incredible,
Right, so just come out your peg, a few more bits of meat, straight back in your swim, and then start shipping back.
So there's nothing hurried about that, was it? That fish grabbed the bait, off it went.
Yeah.
Just draw the fish out of the swim.
Yeah, that's important.
Feed a bit more, take your time.
Yeah, you want him out your swim. So any more fish that are in there, you don't want to disturb them, you see. Right, get him halfway back, catapult. No rush, mate.
That's why these light elastics are so good now, isn't it?
Feed a bit more. Just keeps them interested while you're playing these fish.
You see people, trying to horse these fish in and really pull them too hard, don't you? There's just no need.
Every fish counts, mate. One fish cost me you know, a considerable amount of money. So just take your time. There you go.
Easy as that, eh?
Easy as that, mate.
Simple as that.
Not getting any easier than that, mate. Put your bait on. Before you go back out again, feed. You've got to keep that feed going in, mate. It's seriously quick. Just get yourself ready. A few more bits of meat. Back out. So they're ready now. They're looking for bait now, them fish. Later on in the match, you're going to be fishing shorter. So what we do, between 4 and 10 pieces, mate. It's no, and just throw them in. You know where you're fishing. Make sure you're chucking it on the same line.
Yeah.
And just do that every 5 or 10 minutes. Just keep them occupied.
Just all you're doing is priming it for later on, basically, isn't it?
The loose offerings that you're throwing in are going to get eaten pretty quick.
Yeah.
So you want a nice bed there. So come like 2.5 hours to go with the match, I'll start putting hemp in then, so you can keep them there rather than swimming around trying to look for your bait and then going. There's a nice bed of bait there for them. They'll stay there then.
The fish have started to back away from that shallow pole line now. He's caught quite a few. So, time for the waggler, I think, mate.
Let's just have a look.
Those odd bits that have been going past the pole line, been priming that line for a while now, isn't it?
Yeah. If you don't get a bite straight away, you've got to work. This is the thing with this waggler, you've got to work it. You've got to find the depth that they're at. You've got to keep casting. No good just leaving it there. You've got to make it work. Generally when they're there, Andy, he hits the water and it's off the rest.
Yeah.
Just like that.
As easy as that?
As easy as that, yeah. You know, when we're playing a fish, you've got to try and feed at the same time, exactly the same as we would do it on a pole. Hold it on my leg, put just a few cubes in, because obviously it's a bit more difficult now. Still feed. Got to keep them interested out there.
So as predicted, mate, 2 casts and you've hooked another fish?
Yeah. And there we go, in the net.
And that was on a cube of the polony, was it?
Polony meat, mate, yeah. Been firing the boosty ones out and fishing the polony ones on the hook, mate. I've been feeding that short line all day now and I'm itching to get on it.
You're going to kick this off with a big pot of hemp and a few cubes of polony just to make sure they're down on the deck where you want them.
Yeah, because I've been noticed a few of them are swirling, you see, so you keep loose feeding, they will come up in the water, so we'll put some hemp down, get them down. I'm just going to cup it in, I'm not going to make any noise, so I want them to get them on the deck, so I'm just going to lower that in. And hopefully that gets straight to the bottom and the fish will follow it down.
Fantastic. Lovely summer's weather's come back to join us, mate.
It's been on and off all day, hasn't it?
Yeah, terrible.
So I'll put 2 pieces of polony on, 2 7s. There's a little bit of fizzing going on there.
My word.
So I think there might be 1 or 2 there.
They absolutely home in on that polony, don't they?
Yeah. It's just so pungent. Look at that. I'm just literally lowering that in. Rather than let it go out and try, and you might foul hook one.
Yeah.
And as it's gone in, it's just grabbed hold of it.
This is where you do your damage in the last 2 hours of the match.
They tend to be bigger fish as well, you see. I don't know why, but then big fish, in most venues you go to. But I mean, I know from experience on this lake, and I've caught them up to 15 pounds late on, over a bed of hemp. It's devastating, mate.
And all of that on a few tins of polony, boosted meat and a tin of hemp?
Yeah.
Incredible fishing.
Yeah.
You're that practiced at it now that you can get these fish in relatively quick.
Yeah. If you're fishing a match, you've got to get them in a little bit quicker. Generally, you know, there's no need to bully them, because more often than not, you'll pull out of them.
Yeah, and another one. I can't believe that actually took as you were lowering your rig in.
I know, yeah, and it's in the mouth as well. It's not foul hooked either, so that's right down its throat, that.
Oosh.
Put him back.
Even a brummy can catch a few here.
Yeah, even a brummy catch a few here, mate.
What a day's fishing, unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah.
A few tins of meat, a couple of tins of superseed hemp, and you've just caught fish on everything you've done.
It was just fantastic, mate.